I'm here with the one and only Shipman. We're about to speak at the International Association of Rehab Professionals. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about the Adaptive Sports and Recreation Program. Go Beyond.
Good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me clearly? Thanks for coming out, and thanks for giving me a chance to share my story and how I got to where I am today and how I'm going beyond every day. I thank you, Ray, for that introduction. I suffered a spinal cord injury at the age of 26, but I'm going to tell you how I got to that point. It started a long time before that. All right, we got my presentation up. Thank you. Ray, do you mind if I have a clicker, please? Thank you. So, as you can see, I'm an adaptive lifestyle blogger. I do speak about my adaptive experiences because I learned that there is life beyond being in a chair. And I like to share those experiences because at one point I felt like I was alone and I had no one to relate to. And I want to share with the world that there is life beyond the chair.
That's not working, is it?
Oh.
Hang on. Technical difficulties.
I can start saying a little bit about my background before we go to the next slide. So,
No? Oh, yeah.
So this tells you a little bit about, at the age of 14, I was having horrible back pain. Doctors diagnosed it as scoliosis for a year. It went diagnosed as scoliosis, where I had very slight scoliosis, where I would be bedridden for days at a time. This was a bigger problem. It was not scoliosis. At 14, I went in for an MRI. The MRI would show I had a tumor compressed against my spine. And I'll never forget the way the doctors described it. They said it was the size of the length of a hot dog and the width of a baseball, which I would assume about this big, compressed against my spine. It's between levels T2 to T9. I had my first emergency surgery to remove 75% of the tumor successfully, had 3 months of rehab, and went back to my able-bodied, active 14-year-old self in high school. Never thought about that tumor again. Some of the things I enjoyed doing prior to my injury was golfing. So you could see here, that picture right there on the bottom left was actually my last game of golf before being paralyzed, and I beat my dad in golf. So I take pleasure in mocking him for that one. And somehow I always gravitated to the ocean. That was always my escape. So even before paralysis, the ocean was my go-to. It was my place to pray, it's my place to meditate, my place to get away. And you'll see how that comes into play later on in my life. So prior to being injured, I enjoyed dancing, and that's in one of my typical dancing costumes, skydiving, running 5Ks. I was an adrenaline junkie. Some things never change. You'll see that later too. And traveling has always been a passion of mine, prior to injury and even afterwards. So I travel all over the world. I recently just came back from Barcelona, and I speak about my adaptive travels. And being involved in my community has always been very important to me. So even before I was injured and after I was injured, it's very important for me to peer mentor others that are newly injured and be there for them. I didn't quite have that when I was newly injured, so I want to make sure that I'm there for my community still today. And this is one of my favorite quotes, actually. The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. I live by that quote every single day. Fast forward 12 years, and I started losing sensation in my lower half. I never thought about that tumor again. I never thought that it could come back. I never thought it was a possibility. I went in for an MRI because that was obviously cause for concern. And the MRI would show that the tumor fully grew back. This time a lot worse than the first. I went in for surgery, emergency surgery, able-bodied. I was still walking. I had just lost sensation in my lower half. So the tumor had to be removed. Doctors were able to remove 45% of the tumor, but with damage to my spine. So I went into surgery able-bodied, and I woke up 9 hours later paralyzed. December 14th, 2012 is the day that my life changed forever. So come December will be my 5-year anniversary. This surgery, I noticed, was not going to be like my first. I thought I was going home in 5 days. No, in 5 days I was going to a rehab center. And that rehab center, I spent Christmas and New Year's. Thank God for my support system, which is imperative for anybody who is going through such a traumatic time. And I have a couple of my support systems right here in the front row. My aunt and my uncle. This is my whole family that gathered around at Christmas to make sure that I wasn't at rehab by myself on Christmas Day. I did make a miraculous recovery. After about a month and a half, I did what doctors and therapists said I would never do again. I started walking. I worked very hard, 4 hours a day in rehab for a month and a half. I said, the therapist asked me what my goal was when I left therapy. And I said, you see those doors right there in the front? I'm going to walk out of them. And I did. There is a video here, but it's not. I know it's not playing, but you can see that I'm walking in a rehab here. I can't explain how I was walking. I can't explain. I couldn't feel my lower half, but I was walking. After 5 months, I was dancing again. I was back to my passion. There's a video here too that's not playing. But on my brother's birthday on May 3rd, 2013, he got me out of my wheelchair to dance. And the music that just flows in me, I got up and danced. I was back. I was almost at the finish line, almost walking completely unassisted on my own. I saw the finish line. I felt like the gold medal was almost in my hand. 3 months later, I was using my wheelchair more and walking less. Actually, I was using my wheelchair full time. And the MRI would show that the tumor grew back for a third time after 6 months of having it removed. I went to the National Institutes of Health and spoke to the best doctors in the country. And they didn't sugarcoat it at all. They told me exactly how it was. They said, get used to your new normal. This is what it is. There's nothing else we can do. And you just have to adapt and move on. It's easy to say, adapt and move on. It's a lot harder to actually process and do. So I go through what is normal. Denial, depression, finally accepted my new normal, and I adapted. I had a very cute peer mentor that helped me learn how to do everything in my wheelchair. This is my boyfriend now, Ray, my niece. He plays for the Fort Lauderdale Sharks for 5 years. He made it to nationals. He taught me everything that I know about being in a chair. He was my peer mentor, and that turned into my favorite love story of all time. He has shown me, and Ray Shipman I have 2 Rays in my life, Ray Shipman and Ray Mays. They're the best rays in my life. They're my rays of sunshine. They've shown me that there is life beyond spinal cord injury. I fell in love with adaptive sports and recreation. More than anything, I found scuba. Scuba diving is my most favorite thing in the world. Even though I don't have a ring on my finger yet, I've already got the wedding planned. And I'll tell you why, and I don't think you even know this yet, but getting married under the water is really the only place in the world where we can walk down the aisle together. So, y'all are invited whenever it happens. But I wouldn't have been able to find scuba if it hadn't have been for the Adaptive Sports and Recreation Program, which completely changed my life. As you can see here, we also hand cycle. We did Tour de Broward. I've done the Miami Marathon. We've done adaptive surfing. We go boating, tubing, indoor skydiving. There are no limits to what we do. So when I said earlier, I gravitate to the ocean, I still found my way to the ocean, and I call myself a real-life mermaid because I don't have the use of my legs, but I'm still swimming, and I'm still going. And here's some of our adaptive travels. On the top left, you can see I got my car. That's my nice red car. I thought I would never drive again. I thought I would never dance again. I thought I would never work again. I just learned that I could do everything that I did before. I just do it differently. And it's not, you have a choice to keep going or give up, and I chose to keep going. And I just do things that I did before, I just do it differently. So here's some pictures of our travels. And then here are some accomplishments post-injury, which I never thought I would, I never thought I'd be where I'm at today post-injury, because at one point I thought that there was no life beyond the chair. But I'm proud to say that I'm an ambassador for the Wings for Life World Run, where 100% of the proceeds worldwide go to spinal cord injury research. I do believe that in my lifetime we will find a cure. And meanwhile, I still have to live life. I still have to keep going. I'm preparing my body for that day. And the Adaptive Sports Program is helping me get to that point. I'm also an ambassador for Slick Chicks, which is an underwear line. I'm an underwear model. It's an adaptive underwear line for people with disabilities. And I'm also an ambassador for All Abilities Night at iFly Indoor Skydiving. It's one night a month is dedicated to people of what I like to say different abilities instead of disabilities or the handicap. Or we have different abilities because we can still do everything, we just do it differently. So we have a night dedicated to the differently abled at iFly. I was also the first runner-up at Miss Wheelchair Florida, where my platform was inclusion through entertainment. I'd like to see more people like myself on TV. I'd like that to be normalized. And I'm also a travel columnist for Able Outdoors magazine, which is a magazine that caters to people in wheelchairs that are active. I'm also a model for Photoability and Raw Beauty Project. Both are companies that promote inclusive images. So instead of seeing someone who's able-bodied working at a desk, why not have someone who is in a chair working at a desk? More inclusive images. And that is my presentation, but I do want to mention that the Adaptive Sports and Recreation Program has been a big motivator in my life. It helps me a lot mentally, more than physically. Actually, this whole process is more 90% mentally and 10% physically. If you're not in the right mental state, you won't get very far. And thank you to Shipman for putting on the Adaptive Sports and Recreation Program, because it's not only helped me, but so many others in the community. And if you get a chance to come out to the expo or participate and volunteer, I urge you to do so. And this is my information. Please connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, follow me on social media, or go to my website at www.jessicakatat.com. Thank you for your time and letting me share my story.
Thank you.